All right, so today we are going to make an ice cream cake. My son is turning 21 and I was, trying to figure out what the heck do I get my 21-year-old. So I have a couple of ideas brewing. I did pick up some little trinkets. I'm not going to say what it is just in case my son watches this video. But I am going to make an ice cream cake because that is his favorite. So I'm just using some basic ingredients, but I'm swapping out a couple of items. So let me show you. I'm going to bring this down. All right. If you can see, so I just went to the grocery store and got this. It seemed super easy. I know that I won't eat it. I know that he will eat it. And on the back it says water, and then it has vegetable oil, and then it talks about an egg. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to swap that out for, instead of vegetable oil, I'm going to use coconut oil. And then instead of an egg, I'm going to make a flax egg. And that's when you take flax and you combine it with water, and you have this gelatinous substance that will keep everything bound. You want to bind it. I don't know if you would say bound, but you do want to be able to bind your flour, all right? So it makes a nice cake. And then I have some, this is just one of my goodie boxes where I keep cute little things. Look at these adorable little cupcake tins, right? I have some sprinkles left, and of course I have candles. You have to have candles. You have to have a birthday cake. Some jimmies. All right, so we'll see how it turns out. What else do I have? Let me see here. Let me put you guys back up. All right, put my headset in. So let me give you a look-see. This is one of my spice cabinets. Whoop. It goes all the way up there. And I saw that I had an emergency item that I might have to use depending upon how it turns out, but I have a backup. It's pure crap. We know this, people. I know this. Nobody's perfect, and it's a birthday, so, and no animal was harmed in the production of this meal. Sugar, corn syrup, not good for you. We know that. Cornstarch, palm oil, that's not good either. It says it may contain milk ingredients, but I don't see anything on here that expressly says milk or anything like that. So I can get over my guilt. All right, so we might use that. So I'll put this down over here. And then what we have, so that's the cake part, all right? And we're gonna be using these type of tins because I just wanna make a little small cake for him. And I don't wanna be tempted to eat it and have leftovers. My son loves ice cream, loves it, hence the ice cream cake. But I just can't give him dairy ice cream because it does his gut no good, but that's his weak spot, and he's gonna do what he's gonna do. He's turning 21, right? But I don't want to make an ice cream cake with dairy, so I have a cashew milk, a vanilla, and then I have this is an almond milk banana walnut fudge. I haven't tried this type before of the almond. The cashew I've tried, that's good. So we'll see how it turns out. So what we're going to do first is we are going to put the ice cream in a bowl and mix it up, and then we're going to put it in the cake pans, and then we'll stick it in the freezer, and then we'll start working on the cake. But we want to have the layers frozen in between. All right, so it's a step-by-step process. Let's get started with the cake. All right, so if you remember, we are making these, the cookie brownie. So we have the brownie portion here, and we have the cookie portion over here. Now for this one, we need the flax egg. So one of the first things that we're going to do is make the egg, because it's going to take a couple of minutes it has to sit for about a minute so it can get really gelatinous. But as you can see, flax, and the way that I cheat, because I sometimes forget, is on the lid I put exactly how to make a flax egg. So there's no question, I can just grab it, boom, look on top, and make it. So we have 1 tablespoon of flax to 2 tablespoons of water. So here's my tablespoon. And then we'll do 2 tablespoons of water. There's 1, and there's 2. And I am just going to mix this with this spoon. And we're going to let it sit for a little bit. And the flax seed starts to soak up a little bit of the water, but it gets thick. And this is what's going to bind the flour ingredients. Okay, so here we go. Oh, and I wanted to show you that this is about 1/3 cup of coconut oil, and I put them sometimes in these little tins, especially if I'm going to travel, if I'm going to go to a VRBO, or I know that I'm going to be at a friend's house cooking something and I know that they won't have some coconut. I have these little containers that are great to have. So that's about 1/3 cup. Now, I can go ahead and nuke this for 30 seconds, not even, probably 10 seconds on this, just to make it a little bit softer. Meantime, I'm going to go ahead and pour my flour right there. And then this is 2 tablespoons of water. That's going to go in. Here we have our, it's not soft enough, so I'm going to nuke it just a little bit more. We have our coconut oil, and then our flax is ready. Look at this. You see how it's sliding out? It got really thick. We're going to mix all of this together. Nothing fancy. It's just some box cake that we are altering. So this is like a brownie cookie mix, so this is nice and thick. This one is ready. Oh, look at that. This is ready to go, and we're going to go ahead and make the next one. All right. So we have our 2 ice creams, and we have our nice big bowl, but we do have to get the ice cream into this tin, and it's a spring pan, spring cake pan, and it fits in, as you can see. For those of you that have never used one, it's just like this, and the bottom has a groove around it, and I just fit this in the bottom, and I pop it nice and tight. So that way when I pull it out of the fridge, all I have to do is release this, and then it'll form nicely. However, the ice cream will stick to the bottom, so my solution for that is, let me show you first. My solution is to use either some parchment paper, because I want to line the bottom of this, right? And so I just took the parchment paper, a strip, and I cut 2 pieces in half. And so what I'll end up doing is I'm going to try and fit it over here. And if you don't have parchment paper, you can also use wax paper. Now, I happen to bake quite a bit. I haven't in this last probably year and a half, but when I was baking a lot, and especially when I had Marin Health Nuts products that I was delivering, I had these liners for all of the cakes and the breads that I was making. So this is essentially a wax paper, and you can just fit it in there. So let me show you how. And if you don't have one of these spring forms, that's okay, because you can just line any kind of tin that you have. You could also use a cupcake tin. That would work nicely. So I just take this. I'm going to find the grooves. Okay, so it's in there. And it's hanging out, so that way when I do take the spring off and I have my ice cream in here and I take this off and I turn it upside down, I can just lift this right off and slide it onto my cake. All right, so we have one that's ready to go, and then voila, I have another one. So I think what I'll do is, you know, I've got the ice cream. I let it sit out, so I want to see how soft it is. Let's take a look. I did have a taste. I tasted it. You have to taste it. But this is actually it's pretty soft. This is the vanilla, just straight up vanilla. Oh, this one might work first. I'm going to take this one first, and I'm going to mix it up. All right. So I've got my spatula and my spoon. However, I do have a potato masher. There's my potato masher. And this is what I use when I'm baking in order to go down into the flour, when I'm doing flour and a butter, a vegan butter. But let's try the masher first. All I want to do is I want to soften this ice cream. Because if the ice cream is soft, then I can mold it. I can put it into the tins, you know? And all I want to do is have it mushy enough where I can put that in there, and then we can pop it back into the freezer. So this looks pretty good. Super easy, y'all. You know I like easy. Otherwise, you know, I mean, you have to cook. If you really want optimum health, I personally think that you need to be involved and you need to be cooking rather than relying on, you know, fast food or a service. But that's just me. Oh, so I know what's really going into the food, you know. All right. So we're just going to line the bottom. And it's fine if you're a little sloppy. So this is going to be a 2-layer cake. Okay. We're going to have 2 layers of the cake mix. 1 layer on the bottom, 1 layer on top, ice cream in the middle. I went to an ice cream store because I thought, oh, I don't really have time to do this. And let me just buy something really quickly. And there was something that was the size of one of these, and they wanted like 20 freaking bucks. I thought, no way. All right, looks good, right? So we're gonna pop this into the freezer. Put a sheet over top. And I'm doing that because, you know, when you put things in the freezer, sometimes they get a taste from it, and I don't want to take any chances when it comes to my son's birthday cake. All right, so how easy was that? These are ready to go. I'm going to put them in the freezer. Right? So while they're in the freezer, they're really going to have to be there about, I'd say an hour, hour and a half maybe. So in the meantime, I'm going to clean up and I'm going to set up for part 2, which is making the cake. All right, see you soon. So I want to speed up the process, and I decided instead of waiting for those spring pans, cake pans to harden, I'm going to go ahead and take 2 little mini loaf pans. That should be fun. Here we go. Same concept. I want to go ahead and take my wax paper, okay, or like before, you can take your parchment paper and stretch it out to the amount that you need, and then just go ahead and cut it. So it would be kind of like this one. You could put that in, all right? But I'm going to use the wax just because it's almost that perfect fit. See that? It doesn't have to be perfect. Once the ice cream gets in there, it'll hold nicely. And again, we're just putting in the wax paper or the parchment paper. You could also use, some saran wrap. That would work as well. You could use this. Saran wrap would work just as great, all right? So now we're gonna go ahead and take the almond, which one was this? Almond, banana fudge, banana walnut fudge. Sounds good, and of course I did taste this one. All right, that one is out. Where is my masher? I'm going to do that again. And the nice thing is that when you have ice cream that doesn't have a lot of crap in it, meaning, you know, the preservatives and all of that stuff, to me it melts easier. I remember that there was a video going around. You know how they have the videos when the bologna catches on fire, or the cheese, sliced American cheese catches on fire. Well, they had something about ice cream. The ice cream that was the crappy preservative kind, it didn't melt in the sun. Somebody left it almost all day, and it kept its same form. So that's kind of what turned that's what turned me off when it came to, you know, getting ice cream that's good for you. That's not to say I'm perfect, you know. It's not like I don't take a lick or two, or even a little tiny bowl every blue moon of some ice cream, but I try and stay away from it. I really do. Alright, we'll line the bottom. You should take about half. And just like the other one, we're going to go ahead and, you know, the round pans that are in the freezer right now, just like that, we're going to go ahead and put some more wax paper on top, and we're going to let this freeze. So there's one. That smells nice and banana-y. Is that a word? I don't know. It is right now. And listen, I'm not cooking for the queen. I'm not baking for the queen. I am baking for my son, and he seems to love everything that I make. So it doesn't matter if I'm a little sloppy and it's not perfect. And the beauty of cooking is that, and baking is that, you don't have to be perfect. If you were in that profession, yes. And you go out to eat, yes, you expect some more perfection, right? Than you would at home as a home cook. All right, 2 more sheets. We're just gonna lay that. Actually, I'm gonna tear this one. Maybe that'll be a little better fit. Yes. Creativity at its best, using what you have. I'm smoothing this out. My spatula didn't make it as a smooth enough. But I'm smoothing that out so when I put the other layer on top, it will fit nicely. It'll be smooth. It won't be leaning to one side. You know what I mean? All right. Look at that. Yay! I'm excited! I'm excited to see my son's face when he sees all of these that he can eat. And I won't have a problem with it because it's made with nut milk ice cream. These are going in too. It'll be about, I'll leave it, like I said, for about an hour, hour and a half, and I'll continue to clean up, do some dishes, clean over here, the area that you're not seeing, and I'll be back making the batter, and then it all goes into the oven to bake, and then we start to layer with the ice cream. All right, so I think that our ice cream is ready. I'm gonna grab all of them. I'm excited to put this all together. All right, so we are ready to assemble the ice cream cake. The ice cream has formed nicely, so I can layer it in between the cake, right? Because we're making a layer cake. But it turns out that the cookie dough brownie cake mix thing, I left it too long in the oven, and I'm totally bummed, and it came out like a hockey puck. But I was quickly able to make another cake, substituting the vegetable oil for the coconut oil, and then substituting the eggs for the flax egg. So let me show you what I have and what I'm going to do in order to make this cake, because tomorrow is my son's birthday, so it has to be on no matter what. All right, let me show you. All right, so here's our ice cream, and remember we put it in the mold. So here's our ice cream, and we can take it off nicely since we have the wax paper on there. See that? So we're just going to layer this on the cake. But let me show you. This was supposed to fit nicely one on top of the other like this, and it's perfect. But this one is kind of soft. That's workable. But this one is a total hockey puck. There's no way I could do anything about that. So I've got to get rid of this, and in its place, let me show you, in its place, I was able to make these cakes. All right, it was pretty much the same out of the box, but these are going to work much better. And I think that what I'm going to do is I'm also going to go ahead and put the icing on them. So let's go ahead and I will assemble this. It's going to be super easy, okay? All right, so we have our dish where I'm going to assemble it. Now, normally what I would do is I would go ahead and lay some parchment paper over my plate so that the icing wouldn't get on the plate. But instead of having the parchment paper like that, I'm going to use strips. Because if I use strips, then I'm going to be able to pull them out really easily. And so the cake is just going to be there on the plate. You'll see, you'll get the gist of what I'm doing, okay? We'll do that like that. So here's the first cake, and the parchment paper peels off nicely. So this is going to go on the bottom. And you see, if I have my parchment paper under it, when I ice the cake, it's not going to get on the plate. All right? That looks good, right? Let me lower this a little bit so you got a good view. All right, I think that'll do. Looks a little crooked, but that's okay. All right, so here we have that. Remember I told you I was going to go ahead and use this icing just because I need to do that for speed's sake. So I'm going to do a little bit of icing on top so that way it sticks, right? I want this to stick to the ice cream. So I'm just going to put a little bit. I'm so glad I'm doing this. It's always nicer when somebody makes you a cake, don't you think so? Here's our ice cream. I have to work fast because this ice cream is going to melt fast. I'm going to stick that right on there and press a little bit. This is our next one. I'm going to get that ready. Okay, that's going to be ready. And I am, let me see, I am going to ice the top of this so the ice cream will stick. And again, we have to move quickly. Okay, and now we bring our next layer of ice cream. Whoops, Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. I forgot my sequence. Layer this. I wish I could eat this. I'll just have to look at my son. Okay, and then we're gonna push this down just a tad, and then I'm gonna layer it with this last one on top. So it's gonna be a 3-layer puppy here. Okay, and then once I finish with this, everything is gonna go into the freezer. Okay, that looks good. Now, I don't want this to topple over. You see it's a little loose. So I have these skewers that I just picked up, and I'm gonna put a skewer in there. Let's measure it. Okay, so skewer has to, and you have to remember, if you're gonna use a skewer, you tell the person. All right, so I'm gonna just put this in the middle, and hopefully it'll go through the ice cream. Yes, through all of the layers. It's okay if that sticks out. Let me make it just a tad shorter, and then we can go ahead and ice the top. So this will hold everything in place. Great. Can't see it. Fantastic. Makes it a little bit more stable. All right, let's work quickly. I want to show you what it looks like here. Look at how tall that is. Woohoo! Pretty good, right? All right, it's on like Donkey Kong. I don't know if I have enough icing for the sides. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna whip this so it's smooth. And we'll see. I'm gonna start from the bottom and move up. Just a very light coating. That's all I want. And it's gonna look totally homemade because it is. It's the thought that counts, right? See here how I dropped this? I'm so glad that I put that down there. All right, I'm gonna see how I can make this stretch. This is the only jar of icing that I have. I of course have the ingredients to make icing, but that defeats the purpose of having a boxed cake. But the good thing is that this boxed cake is vegan. It's plant-based, right? I didn't use eggs. I also substituted the oil for a better oil. Oh, and by the way, when I made this cake, what did I do with this cake that was different? Oh, I put applesauce in the cake because the recipe had called for 1 cup of oil, and I can't do that much oil. I thought that was ridiculous. So I replaced the oil with applesauce in order to keep it moist. So that worked out really well. All right, well, my son is used to my shitty looking cakes. I'm doing this one quite fast. If I had more icing, look a little better. And I'll end up throwing sprinkles at it so I can hide some of this. But when he comes home, he's gonna see this big old tower in the refrigerator, and he's definitely gonna wonder what it is. I think I might have just enough. Oh my gosh. I didn't expect my cake to be so tall either. All right, almost. All I care about is that I have some for the top. Oh my God, I'm crazy. Do the final little bit. And then once I go ahead and do this icing, I'm going to go ahead and freeze it. And then only when he's ready will I pull out this monstrosity. So funny. And as you can tell, it's not perfect, but I guarantee you it's going to taste frickin' good. All right, so here's the cake. Oh my goodness. Doesn't look so bad. Looks a little preschoolish, but oh well. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it's so funny to me. Wow. Let's see, 1, once I put the sprinkles on it and remove those papers, it's not going to look as ridiculous. Okay, so there we have the cake. I think I'll throw some of these sprinkles on the side. Let me see if I can't lower this a little bit more for you. We'll pan out. This cake gives me a chuckle. I've never made anything like this. All right, well, this is my monstrosity. Oh my gosh, am I making a mess, you guys? Totally. Yeah, I'm making a mess, big time. But you know what? My son appreciates my effort. That's the nice thing. He's so easy to cook for, bake for. He appreciates all the little things. I'm lucky. I know that a lot of children would complain about the way that certain things looked. Not my kid. All right, so, oh my goodness. All right, let me take these out so I can show you. Yeah, the jimmies will stay on there, the sprinkles, but I shouldn't have any icing. Okay. Oh my goodness, look at that. This is so funny to me. Okay. We'll have a cleaner little table here. Look at that. Is that hilarious? Aww. Okay, so now I get to, there's my happy birthday, the candles. I think what I'll do is I'll put on the happy birthday so we can see it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, you guys. Okay, you want to see my ice cream cake? Ta-ta-da-da! Look at that. This is my towering ice cream cake for my son, who is turning 21. He's turning 21, and I made him his favorite, an ice cream cake. I don't know if this cake will be his favorite, but this cake is vegan, plant-based. No animals have been hurt in the process. I just want you to know. All right, so use your imagination when you are baking or whether you are cooking, and think about how you can substitute ingredients so that way it will be acceptable to the lifestyle, the plant-based lifestyle that you've chosen. Oh my God, look at this cake. I'll include some pictures of my son trying his cake. That'll be interesting. All right, so make healthy choices. I know that today this is not, well, it's a birthday. So as far as I'm concerned, everything on a birthday is healthy, because this is your no count. It doesn't matter what you eat on your birthday. It's all good. But outside of your birthday, make good choices. Let me put it that way, good choices. So if you're trying to be plant-based and you really, really want to stick to being plant-based and you don't want to use eggs in your cooking, you already have seen that you can use a flax egg, and a flax egg holds up nicely. And then I messed up, right? I had the whole brownie thing. Where's my brownie? Look, I had my brownie, which was like a puck, and I couldn't use it. Now, I'm going to chop this up so my son can put this, sprinkle it on ice cream if he wants to. But the alternative was that I was able to quickly go and make a regular cake and layer it, and this is 3 layers. So there you have it. Happy baking. Have a good plant-based journey. I'm going to see you along the way, and I'll let you know how this tastes. I'll see you in another video. Look at that birthday cake. Hang on.
Thank you, Mama.
Officially 21. Is that like a Dr. Seuss cake? See, two candles.
Like cut in the hat.
Huh? It's as big as your head. Oh yeah, it is like that. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Mama.